Ravi, I'd like to thank you for a very comprehensive coverage of a difficult subject. May I start by asking you the first question? Uh, how do you expect to, what is your strategy for maintaining your leadership in a situation where 80% of your business is outside India, especially in a country like China, which is not so friendly with India?
Well, it so happens because with JLR and Tata, we have really become a very important global player. I can tell you as far as JLR is concerned, China is our largest market, and it is really offsetting the slowdown in Europe and offsetting very, very low growth in the US. And therefore, it has been a nice balance. In a future time, if China slows down, we do hope that Europe begins to catch up and US begins to grow more rapidly. So I'm saying if China was not there, I think we need to see this. If China was not there, what would have happened to us? Or if JLR was not happened, what would have happened to us today? So I think is this balancing of markets, balancing of portfolios, balancing of this, I think is important. It probably reduces some of the impact that you might otherwise have been having without them.
Can I have the questions, please?
Ladies and gentlemen, in the interest of time, we'll be taking one question.
Ravi, there's a question about saying when and why did Tata Motors buy Jaguar? What were the lead indicators that made you think of a foreign investment in the automobile market?
Well, Jaguar Land Rover was came about by Ford deciding to divest their premium automobile business. So it was a strategic decision by Ford to remove premier automobile business, which had been built by its predecessors. Once that decision was taken, for whatever reasons they may be having, then it's the question of which parties would be interested. It was also offered to us. We looked at it very carefully. Yes, there were tremendous, brand values in that. But always the question was whether we could combine a premium brand with our own thing. There were many things, negative perception in the market or in business circles about Jaguar Land Rover. But I must say we did a very thorough due diligence, not just of financial numbers, but more qualitative. We met with a number of people, we met with the unions, we met with the engineering staff, we took a special permission from Ford to go and meet with the dealers in the US, in UK, and we came to a conclusion that Ford had done a number of things, as a result of which there are some nice products in the pipeline. And the company had the ability to sustain the introduction of new products in the future. The perception was that Jaguar Land Rover made bad quality products. The fact was Ford had invested a lot of money and people were it was beginning to change, and therefore it will be visible very soon. And we felt that engineering people's strength is very, 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 very high, and labor was very, I would say, very committed. And the most important was, although the network in the US was making losses for the previous 4 years, their passion and intensity of commitment to the brand was unimaginable. Now you can understand, if you were to take all these 4 or 5 factors together, add your ability to be a very tight cost control person, make them more consumer oriented, and therefore allow them to be on their own, work on their own, with proper guidance and things like that, it could be a winning combination. And that's why we went for it. Unfortunately, we were faced with global meltdown, and therefore things were really very difficult. Had it not been for Tata Group, I don't know what we could have done. But once we survived that, market began to improve, new products started hitting the market, they were successful, and rest, as they say, is history. We spent $2.5 billion to buy the company. Last year, we made $2.5 billion as the profit. This year, we'll be making, surely we are going ahead, we're making more than that, and you can understand. But we are not shying away from investing in the company. We are spending more than $3.5 billion in new products and new capacities. So our commitment to the company has been tremendous as far as new products are concerned, as far as allowing people to work on their own way, and of course, making them more competitive, and I think it's showing up in the marketplace. As I said, today they account for more than 85% of our bottom line. So one shudders to think if Jaguar Land Rover was not with us, what would have happened to Tata Motors?
Ravi, there's a question from Mr. Ramakrishnan. It says, sometimes organizations take big bet which misfires. How can the leadership change its own mindset and take the tough corrective decisions?
Yeah, it happens. I think that should not shy you away from taking decisions. Yes, some would misfire, some would. But I think on balance, it's a question of how many successes, how many hits you have, and how many failures you have. I give you an example of a case which has exceeded beyond anybody's expectations. I'll give you another example which has not worked as well. We had predicted at that point in time, from the whatever data was available, that we will have the two kinds of road development will take place. One was the expressways, the other was the rural road, which is called Pradhan Mantri Gramin Sadak Yojana. What went ahead was Pradhan Mantri Gramin Sadak Yojana because the center was giving money to states and the states were then spending that money. So many states did a wonderful job and therefore we started selling ACE in a very, very large numbers in those places. In fact, through the sales density of ACE, you can predict the economic indicator in the country today. I can tell you this. Because what it is doing is creating entrepreneurs. Whereas the expressways, the highways did not go so smoothly and there was setback in that. And we had created a very, very international class of big trucks to compete with Mercedes and Volvos of the world. We are not able to sell as many as we had predicted because the road development of that kind has not taken place. So these are the things, but the fact is if we had not taken action, if we had not got that product, we would be in a very difficult situation today. So I think you need to balance and some bets come off well and some bets maybe take time.
Ravi, I have another question myself, forgive my ignorance, but how come Jaguar was losing money in its own domestic market, UK, where the thing was being made?
Well, you have to understand that almost 80% of Jaguar production is exported. And therefore, UK market is just one market. I mean, the other 3-4 equally big markets like Europe or the US or now China. So, although it was losing money, we knew, as I just mentioned, through the due diligence, we could understand that when good times come, it will become a very, very winning proposition. So, all that loss can be recovered in a very short period of time, and that's why we went for this.
Are there any more questions from the audience, please? Kindly raise your hand and be free to ask the question. Well, if not, Ravi, I'd like to thank you for a very extensive coverage of a subject which is on everybody's mind. We are running a little bit late. I wouldn't like to stand between a lunch which is waiting for you. And I'd like to thank you very much for this very nice presentation and for letting most of us know how Tata Motors has managed a very difficult situation. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, sir. And with that, I'm going to request Mr. Chopra to present a token of appreciation to our speaker for the session, Mr. Ravi Kant. Could we have a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, once again, for a very enriching session. Thank you once again, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, while it's time to break for lunch, I'm going to request everyone to please reassemble in the hall at 2:15 p.m. for next set of sessions. And before we leave for lunch, we have the audio visuals of our co-partners, Nokia and Bickerton.
No, closer. Come on.
2007 call. It wants its camera phone back.
How's this for a drama shot?
Why aren't we getting closer?
With the Nokia Lumia 1020, we got the best seats in the house.
Meet the Nokia Lumia 1020. With 41 megapixels and reinvented zoom, nothing else comes close.